Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're going to be diving into something so universally relatable, yet kind of bizarre when you really think about it. We are decoding exactly why dogs eat grass. It's going to be a really fascinating journey, honestly. We'll start way back with some deep-seated evolutionary quirks, move into some really surprising nutritional needs, and finally, we'll uncover a few hidden medical and environmental dangers that every single pet parent out there really needs to know about.
Okay, picture this. We have literally all been there, right? You let your dog out into the backyard, or maybe you're walking them through this beautiful, lush park, and suddenly they just drop their head and start grazing. It's one of those completely normal but utterly confusing moments where you just have to wonder, why on earth did my dog just turn into a lawnmower? Well, it turns out this funny little habit is actually rooted in some seriously interesting veterinary science.
So, here is how we're going to break it all down today. First, the grazing canine. Then, why do dogs eat grass? After that, the hidden lawn dangers, followed by when to worry, pica, and finally, keeping your dog safe. Let's get right into it.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the grazing canine. Let's take a second to just normalize this behavior.
Get this, up to 80% of pet guardians say they notice their dogs regularly snacking on grass. So right off the bat, if you've been stressing out that your pup is the only one doing this, you can definitely breathe a huge sigh of relief. This is not some weird modern quirk or something unique to designer breeds. It is a universal canine trait that is incredibly widespread. And to prove just how ancient this behavior really is, we just have to look at their ancestors. There were these studies done in Yellowstone National Park, and researchers found that a massive 74% of wolf scats actually contained plant matter, which was primarily grass. I mean, that brilliantly illustrates that grazing isn't some new phenomenon at all. It is a deeply ingrained evolutionary instinct that has literally been part of canine behavior since the dawn of doggy time. Which brings us nicely to Section 2, why do dogs eat grass? Let's unpack the actual reasons behind this.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. A lot of people firmly believe dogs only eat grass to make themselves throw up when they have an upset stomach. But actually, that is a huge myth. There are really two totally distinct ways our dogs consume grass. The first is what we call grazing. This is when they're slowly chewing, genuinely tasting it, and it can be driven by simple boredom, maybe some separation anxiety, or just plain old hunger. In fact, there was a study that watched 12 grass-eating dogs consume grass over 700 times. And the researchers realized these dogs were mostly just eating grass because they were hungry right before a meal, and they almost never threw up afterwards. On the flip side, instinctive vomiting looks entirely different. That's the frantic, desperate gulping of unchewed grass, which is a deliberate attempt to clear out an upset stomach.
And here is where it gets super interesting. When a dog is actually trying to make themselves throw up, they are surprisingly strategic about it. They might specifically hunt down Dactylon, which most of us just call Bermuda grass. Why? Because the leaves on this specific grass have these tiny, irritating bristles on the edges. When a dog gulps it down without chewing, those little bristles physically tickle their throat and stomach lining. It acts like a mechanical tool to swiftly induce vomiting and give them some quick relief. It's kind of brilliant, right? But what if they aren't sick and they're just chronically eating grass? Well, could a missing nutritional element be the culprit? Remember, dogs are omnivores. That means their digestive systems actually rely on a good mix of high-quality meat and plant material. Sometimes eating grass is literally just the easiest way for your dog to add some much-needed roughage and dietary fiber into their routine to keep their digestive tract moving smoothly. And to really illustrate the absolute power of fiber, there is this fascinating case study published in PubMed. It's about an 11-year-old miniature poodle. For 7 long years, this poor pup was eating plants every single day and then immediately vomiting. They ran exhaustive medical tests and they found absolutely nothing wrong with him. So the vets figured, hey, maybe he's just trying to fix a dietary deficiency. They told the owner to switch him to a high-fiber dog food. You guys, just 3 days after that dietary shift, the dog completely stopped eating plants and the vomiting vanished. Fast forward to a 13-month follow-up and he was still completely cured. It is such an incredible testament to how one simple nutritional tweak can solve a chronic, long-standing issue.
Moving right along to Section 3, the hidden lawn dangers. Let's talk about the chemical risks.
Because here's the plot twist. The grass itself isn't usually the problem. It's what we spray on it. Research shows that certain chemicals hidden in everyday lawn care products are directly linked to some truly devastating canine cancers. The most alarming one is a super common weed killer called 2,4-D. Studies have directly linked exposure to this specific herbicide with a terrifying 70% increased risk of canine malignant lymphoma. When your dog is out there grazing on a chemically treated lawn, they are ingesting these toxic compounds right into their system.
So the takeaway here is that it's absolutely crucial to know exactly what is in your yard care products. Beyond 2,4-D, there's a whole list to watch out for. There's glyphosate, which you'll find in a lot of non-selective weed killers, and that's linked to kidney disease and cancer. Bifenthrin is used for bug control and is a possible carcinogen, and atrazine is a well-known endocrine disruptor. To zoom out and put that into perspective for a second, out of 30 commonly used lawn pesticides, 19 of them have studies pointing to them being carcinogens, and 26 are linked to liver or kidney damage. And hey, even if you keep your own yard chemical-free, you really need to be aware of municipal parks where local councils might be spraying this stuff.
All right, let's transition to Section 4, When to Worry. We're going to look at a condition called pica and go over some medical warnings.
So pica goes way, way beyond just nibbling on a few blades of grass. It's an abnormal, compulsive behavior where a dog obsessively eats non-food items. We're talking rocks, dirt, cloth, metal, garbage, you name it. While occasional grass grazing is perfectly fine, pica is incredibly dangerous. Ingesting those kinds of foreign objects creates a massive risk for a gastrointestinal obstruction, which is absolutely a life-threatening veterinarian emergency.
The thing about pica is that it's usually a giant red flag for a deeper underlying issue. It could be triggered by endocrine diseases like hypothyroidism. It could be severe gastrointestinal diseases, think pancreatitis or inflammatory bowel disease. Or it can even stem from severe psychological stress, profound anxiety, or a heavy parasite load that's causing nutritional deficiencies. If you notice your dog obsessively eating weird, non-food items, or if they're pacing, acting super lethargic, or trying to throw up but nothing comes out, please, do not ignore it. You need to get them to the vet for a thorough checkup immediately.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Keeping Your Dog Safe. Let's go over some highly actionable steps. I've got 4 super practical things you can start doing literally today to protect your pup. Step 1, just wash your dog's paws after every walk. A lot of people don't realize dogs ingest those toxic lawn chemicals not just from eating the grass, but by licking their paws clean after they've walked on a treated lawn. Step 2, ditch the harsh chemicals at home. Switch to organic weed killers, like corn gluten meal. It's amazing because it acts as a natural weed killer and a fertilizer, all in one. Step 3, if you kind of suspect your dog's grass grazing is tied to separation anxiety, try leaving an old, unwashed t-shirt with your scent on it when you leave the house. It can provide a huge amount of comfort. And step 4, if the grass eating is constant and chronic, definitely have a chat with your vet about maybe adding a bit more dietary fiber to their meals to make sure their digestive system has exactly what it needs.
Wow, okay, we have covered a ton of ground today, right? We went all the way from the ancient DNA of wolves to the scary chemical realities of modern lawn care. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative question to think about. What does your lawn care say about your dog's health? By just taking a step back and reevaluating the environment we create in our backyards and the nutrition we put in their bowls, we can absolutely ensure our canine best friends live the longest, most vibrant, and healthy lives possible. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep an eye on those pups, and I will see you next time.